That's the right stream. I got on the wrong stream. It happens. Part of life. Did I get rid of that? Yes. Okay. Now we're on the right stream. My apologies. Hello and happy brunch, everyone, if you're joining us. Did I do everything right? All right. And I just want to customize so that only subscribers can talk, so that nobody can come in that's not supposed to be here. All right. Now we're Joel. Welcome, Empaths. Hello, all of you beautiful spirits. Happy. See, Joel is always here. Joel, where are the good men? Are they all in? Are they with you in Wyoming? Is that where you are? Joel is a really good man. He is tried and true. You can rely on him. He shows up every Sunday ready to go. And if he can't make it, he lets me know. Loyal, good cook, good man in the state of Wyoming. I worked really hard at my computer. Cheers, everyone. I am having some of the delicious coffee that my friend sent me. Much gratitude to Villa Verde. She sent me some very expensive Jamaican coffee, which is my favorite, but it's $25 for this tiny amount. And it's like, it's so expensive. Please don't send me this coffee. I feel guilty just sipping it, right? But yes, so that's my Sunday treat. I let myself have some of the Jamaican gold, and it is worth its weight in gold. It's very delicious. Mm-hmm. Well, for a good upper middle class cup of coffee, if you are wanting to spend, then I think Pete's Major Dickinson, and then you grind the beans yourself. That's a good cup of coffee for those of us that are, coffee snobs. But I know people that are like on a working class salary that will do Pete's. It's just, you have to have a few luxuries in your life, even if you're on a fixed income. And some people say, well, it's going to be my coffee. That's the one thing I'm going to spend good money on. The truth of the matter is, cooking from scratch is more affordable, and cooking from scratch, if you know what you're doing, tastes better. Right? Well, let's go ahead and welcome you all. Hello to Kitty Connell. Kitty Connell is the author of the book we are reading right now, which I put it down somewhere. I'm sorry, I cannot find Kitty's book. Lorcan's Bane is the book of the month. Kitty Connell will be in our studios Tuesday at 6 p.m. with Chuck Dransfield for our monthly get-together. For those of us who want to join a book club, but we don't want to get out of our houses. The books we select are independent writers who write in either, the magical style. We look for books with strong, powerful female characters. Those people who have been part of our book club for the year know that we tend to pick books where there's a woman. As we like guy leads too, but it's been mostly strong females. There's a supernatural element usually to the books we've selected. I did have a submission for vampires that was excellent, but I didn't want to scare anybody. I'm really into vampires, so I held off. And if you guys want the vampire series, we can bring in a vampire. I love that stuff, but it can get a little, So Kitty Connell has written an amazing book, Lorcan's Bane, and Lorcan. Miran, she reminds me a little bit. The main character, do you know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Megan, Harry's wife, Megan, because she is the bane of the male power struggle. Kitty. She's a woman with nobody has as much power as her. And it's power in the hands of an innocent person who has to learn how to use it. And of course, if you've got power, you're going to attract people that want power. And then you're also going to attract people that are threatened by your power. So all of that is part of Lorcan's Bane. And you can give an exchange of power, which is positive, like falling in love or romance. That's also an exchange of, anyway, it's a very good book. So Kitty will be with us on Tuesday. Kay Travel is also with us, a very close friend of mine here in beautiful Portland, Oregon. She's also a great cook. She made me an amazing meal the last time I went over and visited. Marjorie Harrison, thank you for your membership. Hello, Fillerin. Good to see you. Thank you for your membership. Oh, Shun Star is in the house. Jane Adams. Renee, yes. Good to see you. Sarah Eschweiler, welcome as usual. And thank you for the pretty flowers. I do appreciate them. I do see them. David Gresh is in the house. Thank you so much for being here. Yolanda's here. Geocosmic Valentine, she has teaching certification. She is a remote viewer, trained in HCRV, and an amazing astrologer. If you'd like to check out her channel and see her, she's highly recommended. Jeffrey Stein is here. Oh, thank you. Yes. So let's talk. What do you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about some remote views? Huh? Yeah? Should we do the empath prayer first? Would you like us to do a little prayer to get us in the mood? Yeah? That would be fun, right? Okay. No link. No link to what? Harry Mandel is in the house. Hi, Harry Mandel. Oh, Stumptown coffee is very good, though. Sometimes it's a little too blonde for me, and I tend to like it to be a little bit more dark roast. Sometimes they go a little too blonde. I don't like white coffee or raw coffee. Some people drink raw coffee. I can't stand it. It tastes sour and raw. And yeah, no. It tastes like stomach. It just doesn't work. No, it's not good. All right, let's do the empath prayer. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively as a community, we say, Amen. There you go. I like mocha chocolate coffee. Ooh, that sounds yummy. Starbucks, I don't know. It's kind of like corporate burnt coffee. Well, in terms of the remote views, it looks like it's going pretty badly for Russia. Would you agree? Anybody been watching The Enforcer? People in Crimea are being told to evacuate. So people are anticipating some type of an invasion in Crimea this summer. I think, yeah, mid-June we're looking at mid-June. But a lot of people, something like how many millions? I know that Joel keeps track of these things for us because he watches The Enforcer and everything. But Joel, how many people are fleeing Crimea right now? Yeah, Putin made a peace offer, and it just all look, this guy, what Putin did was so horrible, there can be no peace. He kidnapped people's children. That's like Hamas wanting a peace proposal with Israel. It's just, you can't act like that and then play the victim. I always see Putin under house arrest, but you can't really call it house arrest. It's more like he retires to his villa, which is a pretty great villa with his own private guards. Now he has a purge going on. Does anybody know about the purge? Yeah, so he ran out of money. Shogu told him there was no more money left, that they had serious financial problems, and now he's arresting everybody he thinks was stealing from the military. That is what he says. But don't you think there's more going on than that? Don't you think that it's really that he's trying to purge anyone he thinks could be challenging him going forward? And he's just using that as an excuse. Sure, the money is missing, but everybody was stealing because they don't have great salaries. So stealing is what you do to get ahead. And the black market and everything else. They're only doing what he did. So it's really, I think that the Russian generals will be, yeah, thanks, Joel. I think that the reason the Russian generals are being purged is because there's talk about mutiny. And if you think that mutiny is going to happen, you take your top people. Who else did this in history? Can you guys think of somebody else in history who did something similar when he thought that he was going to be overthrown toward the end of his life? Which Russian leader did this, these purges, when he thought that everybody was out to get him? Purges work. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, Harry. That's right, Joel, salted chip. So Putin thinks that, Putin thought that Stalin was a great guy. Is it going to work? Is Putin going to be able to stay in power to such an extent that nobody that could challenge him, they're all going to be arrested? There can be no military coup if your military is in jail. At the same time, you can't win a war when your military is in jail. The only thing you can do is what Yeltsin did. You can arrange with anybody who still likes you some kind of private guard, like the Welsh Guard in Britain, right? The blood red Welsh Guard. You got to get somebody out to. The problem is that Putin doesn't even trust his own private guard because he's had break-ins, and those break-ins would not have happened if his guards had not been helping. So, yeah, we can definitely do some blitzes on that. In terms of Ukraine, though, I think that Ukraine always wins. I'm really worried about Iran. Iran is the other one that when we do remote viewings on Iran, we talked about the fact that emotions run high after a funeral. And for that reason, people are going to want to express their anger over this grief. And that could lead to civil war. And that's just human nature. After this much of an outpouring of grief, people are going to want to have some kind of a resolution. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Stein is talking about the hush money trial, and will Trump get convicted? Oh, I think he's going to get convicted. The interesting thing about going into the energy of Trump, Jeffrey, is that I feel like I've been in jail before. I feel like they're going to send me back there. So he must have been profoundly traumatized by going to that military school. whatever they were doing to those young kids when the doors were locked must have been pretty freaking evil. No parent was there to protect them. If some psychopath got you alone somewhere, like in a shower, that was the memories that Trump has of military academy, like they had billy clubs. They were beating those kids with billy clubs. So you're taking showers with a group of guys. You got a guy watching you with billy clubs, and that's your memory of, well, you're going off to a military camp. My brother told me stories about he had to go to military camp too. So in my mind as Trump, when I am Trump, because I'm a professional empath, which means that you can hire me to become anyone. I think a lot of the time people that have never worked with empaths don't understand that empaths are real. When the original Star Trek did a episode about a woman that was an empath, they were talking about this phenomenon. It's very ancient. Like I said, it goes back to the bond technique and other techniques of people that could heal the tribe by the scapegoat. But in the bond technique, instead of being scapegoated, the empath was respected and was treated well. Because there's also an understanding that empaths probably have gone through hell to have that kind of fragmented self where their self is very fragile, which also puts them at risk of narcissistic personality disorder, which is why people that become empaths are often referred to as inverted narcissists, because they don't have much of a self. They have to find their self because they've been everyone and they've had to be everyone. So those are some of the challenges of being a professional empath. But when I become Trump, I remember jail. I remember being incarcerated. I was incarcerated in a jail. It wasn't all bad. Like, the kids had fun sometimes, but I have memories of being woken up and having to walk out onto the field and state your name before you even get breakfast. Those are my memories as Trump, of being going out and raising the flag and having to be in perfect uniform to be inspected. And we haven't even had breakfast yet. And they're going to check everything. And they're going to keep you out there for an hour if Tommy didn't tie his shoes. And then you get released to go and have your breakfast. You've got 20 minutes to complete your breakfast. That type of, and then you go to class and you are to sit there and you are to raise your hand. And then he's been in prison. Yeah. So we shall see. Let's go ahead now. I think we're going to switch things around. We'll do a collective for people, and then we'll do some blitzes, because you folks are asking some really great questions, and I'd like to be able to do some blitzes. But I'd like to first give you guys a collective. Would you like a collective reading for your week and see how your week is going to go? Yeah. And then after that, we can do some blitzes. What's everybody eating and drinking on this fine brunch? Anybody having anything good to eat? I know Joel is a great cook. Yeah. How many joining us? Oh, very nice. We got 159 people having brunch together. Isn't that lovely? Think about the size of this table, that we have 159 people having brunch with us right now. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah. Now, some of you are like me. You tend to go light on brunch. Who here is like me? You just, you get together with us on Sunday. Maybe you're kind of shy. You don't like to talk as much as the other people at the table. That's cool. We love everybody, even if you don't want to talk. But how many of you are like me? You come to Sunday brunch and you just have a cup of coffee, like Salty Chip is having a nice iced coffee. Ooh, coleslaw and corn. I ate an entire can of corn the other day. I just saw it in the. I made something with fish, and corn goes great with fish. Have you noticed that? Yeah, I ate and I put a little butter on it. I ate the entire thing. Arugula salad. Now, Fillerin is the queen of good food. She knows how to live. How does that an arugula salad with ahi tuna for her brunch? Are you having a mimosa with that, darling? Debbie Brady, shy. Ah, ha, ha, ha. Well, there's some people that are shy, Debbie. Not you and me, but well, I'm shy on dates with guys that are really cute. Mm-hmm. Ooh, roasted cabbage. Yummy, yum, yum. Oh, I saw the most amazing roasted cabbage recipe. You guys have to try it. You slice it in quarters or sixes, and then you dip it in olive oil and balsamic vinaigrette and salt and pepper and garlic and onion and grated Parmesan, but you can do a vegan grated Parmesan if you want it to go vegan. And then you bake it and then it roasts. And then you sprinkle more Parmesan on top of it. Doesn't that sound delicious? I got to try it. Tuna noodle dish. Yummy. Last night I had a really nice dish with some noodles. I made chicken vegetable cacciatore, which is the easiest thing in the world to do because you just saute olive oil, onions, and a can of chopped tomatoes. And then you throw in some chicken. You can do tofu if you want to do vegan. And some frozen mixed vegetables. And then you just slow cook it and it makes a vegetable chicken cacciatore. And then I just put that on egg noodles. And that's something from childhood that kids love, and you can get the vegetables in it, and it's one plate. You know, if you just don't have time to deal with a bunch of screaming kids, just throw it all in one pot and then put it on some noodles, and the kids love it, and it's one dish, and I remember that from childhood. You just take a can of frozen mixed vegetables and just throw it in and cook it down with the tomatoes, onions, and the chicken, and put it on some egg noodles. Kids love it because it's got corn and vegetables. So that's what I did last night. It was great. Yeah. I'm all about simple. You know, I work really hard. I have a lot of stuff on my plate, and also it's easier to clean up. But it was lately I've been getting into food from my childhood, like vegetable chicken cacciatore. And it's comfort food. You know what I mean? Like simple and comfort. Tuna, I love tuna casserole. All right. So your reading for the week. Let's take a look. What does Spirit want us to know about this week? I can tell you energetically, it feels kind of scary because we also know China is doing war games by Taiwan. All that stuff can be scary. We knew that the East was going to collapse. The CIA does not like to share its intelligence with Homeland Security, and that's a bit of a problem in the sense that people sometimes feel that the CIA doesn't really have to answer to anyone. But one of the things that the CIA is really good at is dismantling people's economies. And it did this in a number of ways. But one of the main things the CIA has been working on is dismantling the economy of Iran. And that has been done by fostering strong relationships with moderates in the government in Iran. People really are risking their lives to change Iran in ways that blow my mind. I would have collapsed when they were planning to assassinate Ebrahim Raisi. I'm an empath, so I got hysterical for the people that were planning it. Poor Lena Rodriguez. I was robotext, right? The empath needs counseling after you see something like that. But I fear for the people that were part of the plot, right? Like I started like, oh God, right? I start to worry. But you could also look at it as the arc of a story, what's happening right now, in the sense that we hit the peak, which is the peak of the tensions, and now we have to take the tension down because human beings are afraid of where this rage is taking us. There is the absolute truth, and then there is people who want to muddy the waters. And so it's very important at this time in your life. Oh, Peach Crisp, that's my absolute favorite. Joel, I'm coming to visit you. Can I have some ice cream, homemade ice cream, vanilla with that? Peach Crisp, thank you very much. Your base card for the week is the High Priestess. Okay, so this is wise. You're entering into a time of wisdom and aware of the hidden arts. You're starting to be aware of the hidden hidden hearts too, in the sense that you're able to see the greater picture and not necessarily get emotionally pulled in by all of the crazy. The karma card right now is Two of Pentacles over finances. Again, we're in the middle of a trade war. Everybody had plenty of prep for it. No major spending right now. There's a lot of foreclosures happening, and by fall, the housing market is going to be ice. And so if you want to start looking at buying homes, you can think about doing it when it's better in the fall. But right now, with that Two of Pentacles as your karma card, I don't recommend buying property or anything major right now. Instead, the High Priestess, shore up your wisdom psychically, be in a place of wisdom. Your wishes have been granted. This is really, in many ways, the best time in life for you. Don't believe this Hollywood. The only reason that Hollywood glorified the young so much, which by the way, was in conflict to every other culture in the world. The only reason that they kept doing that was because there were some creeps that owned some of the studios. Like, there were some guys that were into young kids, right? But if you look historically at human beings, being young was never a good thing. It was never, young was the time when you learned how to do things. The truth of the matter is that it was the seniors that had the good life, because it was the seniors that got to go into teaching, and they had respect, and they were the elders and leaders. It's the brass ring you get after living an ethical life. So Hollywood really screwed us up. We lost the natural order. We started to lie about our age, which is a very bizarre thing in other cultures. Like, why would you do that? Like, why would you lie about being an elder? Like, why would you burn your resources? So we have to heal from that, but so there's a lot here about recognizing your internal power, because High Priestess gets more powerful with age. Magic is more powerful with age. Women can, it's like the book we're reading right now about Mirren. She had tremendous power at a very young age. She had huge potential, but you still have to learn how to use the potential, right? So High Priestess is all about learning your tools. You have power, understanding that you have power, but be very careful about how you use your power. This card also, the wish card, would indicate that you can have whatever you want. I cannot stress this enough. Simplify your life. Do not hold on to anything that's causing you stress or financial burden if you are not using it. So look at everything that's causing you stress. To be attached to something, to have a cord to something, is to be attached. Sometimes it's worth it. Our greatest pain is usually our greatest love, like our children, right? But also, if we have cords with our money, right? The debtor is the slave to the lender, right? So what are you borrowing? Eight of Swords is to be tapped out. It's to be trapped by economics and also to have commitment. You've tapped yourself into red tape. It's like me getting hit with 6,100 in, I think, you know what I think? I think part of why I had to pay extra was because my student loans were forgiven. And that might have impacted my taxes also. But the point is that Eight of Swords is anytime you are just tied in knots. I think about the cords we create with other people, and I think about the cords I create between myself and certain companies. Like I have a cord between me and Netflix. And then I get stressed out. Oh, I've got too many subscriptions. I've got too many subscriptions. That would be an example of Eight of Swords. Don't tie yourself into any knots right now. What is above you? You have to make some serious decisions regarding, who you want in your life, how you want them in your life, who you want to be romantic with. If people show you who they are, believe them. Be forgiving of people hurting each other, right? Isn't that what one divorce lawyer said? I was watching that divorce lawyer. He's fascinating, but he says, at the end of the day, after 23 years of being a divorce attorney, divorce is all about hurt people hurting each other, right? Knight of Cups is the diplomat who's trying to reach out to other people. The best place for you to find love and positive relationships is in places where people show you their ethics and their values. Your sixth house is the Hierophant, which is how you look towards God or spirit. It's your ethics. And what is above you is solid judgment. And so being able to see people and being able to see their ethics is something that is emerging for you. The High Priestess, who has strong judgment and strong ethics, she has to decide, or he has to decide, who you want in your life. Right now, feelings of poverty. Again, everyone's being affected by the trade war. We're all seeing a drop of, say, 20%, 30% in our finances. That's what economists are saying. Everybody's feeling it because the food went up, the rents went up. And so if you haven't had a raise in 5 years, this is why I had to raise my prices. Everything dropped by 20, 30%, right? So there's this general feeling here of poverty. Five of Pentacles is a poverty card. People are really concerned about poverty. The other 10 of Swords, our opposition feels stabbed. So it could be because of the trade war or what's going on in our personal lives. Others feel betrayed. So everybody's hurting at this time in our lives. Hopes and fears that I will have to defend myself constantly against attack. And the final outcome, Four of Pentacles, frugality. Now is the time to be frugal and to watch the finances. I think for $2.99 a month to get free readings, I think my channel's a steal. But everyone has to follow their own conscience about what to get rid of, what to, is this serving me right now? Am I getting anything out of this relationship, whatever the relationship is, because of this poverty? I don't like this 10 of Swords. It could be that others are feeling betrayed as well. The hopes and fears that you have to, 7 of Wands, protect yourself constantly from others. And then 4 of Pentacles, again, which is hold on to your coin, self-examination, and doing internal work. I really cannot also stress enough how important it is to stop stressing about things that you can't control. You cannot control whether or not Putin is going to drop an atomic bomb on the or use Zaporizhzhia as a dirty bomb, which he threatened to do multiple times and has bombed around Zaporizhzhia. They've also put weapons in Zaporizhzhia. We built it, and by golly, you're stealing our profits, right? We built this stuff with our money. My nuclear power plant, right? My trade route out of the Odessa. I feel betrayed. So the genuine energy overall is the people that we're having problems with could be feeling like they're having a problem with us, or they could be feeling that they're having a problem that had nothing to do with us. We've just become part of the soup. Unions are coming, yes. But this was bigger than unions. We made a huge mistake when we took our business to China. We were naive. We thought that China was going to modernize and we're going to have this great relationship with China. And instead, China said, great, we will turn Americans into our slaves. We will take their land and we will trash it and we'll do this, that, and the other. And we'll buy up we'll make it so that you can't afford to buy property in your own country. And it got to a point where Biden will steal your patents and produce cheap knockoffs and bankrupt American companies by stealing patents. All that stuff started to happen. And that was why eventually something had to be done, because in every way, Americans were being ripped off. We were being ripped off because our work went overseas. But it wasn't just that our work went overseas. The profits were being used to harm Americans. Oh, thank you, Kay. Welcome back, my love. So Biden had no choice. Biden had no choice, but of course the Republicans don't see that. The other thing that we have to think about is what would be the economic consequences of globalism. If you only have the West and the East is completely bankrupted, a lot of economists say that that's terrible, because that could lead to horrible consequences down the road for the EU and everybody else. You need to have healthy competition. So by bankrupting China and Russia, which is what's happened, they could either bankrupt us or we could bankrupt them. Well, what about the loans we have for China? What about the loans that China has with us? The problem that people don't realize is that it's so interwoven that they could call their loans and we could retaliate by pulling more. You see what I'm saying? So the loans were always there in exchange for us supplying business and work and money. They were making a lot. They were making bank off of U.S. businesses. Pulling loans is not going to save China if you no longer have a business, if we shuttered our doors and walked out. You don't have a company anymore. You don't have a business anymore. If China were to do that, it would be the death of China. They would basically be closing the door to the West. The West would no longer do business, and then they would fall back into where they were prior to the revolution. I mean, it would be disastrous. Most economists say it would be completely, who would do business with them? And then what are they going to do? They're going to be a pariah with close to 2 billion people. They're already at that point in China. Yeah. Cheers. Let's do some blitzes. All right. Whenever I get the order, we will blitz, blitz, blitz away. I didn't want this to happen. I think that, I was listening to Zahan, what's his name? He's an economist who is, he's sometimes on the political shows, but he was basically saying it's going to be disastrous for the West long term, because a healthy, vibrant, friendly relationship with the East would be ideal, not their economy collapsing, which is going to be, ultimately, it's going to be devastating for the West. Well, for a number of reasons. There are certain products we can't, yeah. A lot of millionaires and billionaires have talked about the fact that it would actually really be bad for the world, the whole world, if the East collapsed. You want them to be able to be viable and functional and to engage in commerce. How many Russians have left Russia? You know, it was the biggest mistake to try and take Ukraine. The problem was that Putin was living in a fishbowl with other people who thought just like him. So they convinced him that he could just take the world because they all were sycophants. And then look what happened. What was Trump thinking while he was getting rejected by the Libertarian Party? Yeah, I heard about that. Let's take a look. Libertarians tend to be intellectuals, even if I don't agree with their politics. They do tend to be more intellectual than Trumpers. It's that whole Ayn Rand crowd. There was a part of him that saw it as information. He was gathering information. He didn't expect to stay long. He expected to only speak for 20, 30 minutes. Look at this. He's in the chariot, which is to get out of Dodge. Came. I was told to come here and try and get a libertarian, because we can't win without libertarian votes. His opposition, the Sun, we see you and you're going to jail. Jail. Your days are numbered. Wheel of Fortune. He used it, and I think that's good of Trump. He used it as an opportunity to feel or see what the vibe was of the libertarians. You know, was he going to meet a bunch of Elon Musk people that were going to think about money and, hey, what are you going to do for our finances? Or was he going to have people be emotional and kick him off the stage? So for him, it was an awakening. You know, he moves, but he has this kind of aha, the light bulb goes off. So that's what you guys think of me. His biggest fear is incarceration. It's in the 9th house, which is hopes and fears. Wheel of Fortune would indicate that his fate has been sealed already. Let me go ahead and see some clarification here. They are accusing him of betraying them, the libertarians. They're accusing him also of economic theft. So a lot of it's financial, and that's true because with libertarians, a lot of stuff is economics. But the guy who hoards the money man, they feel like they've been betrayed by him. He was a thief, the thief's card. He moves on. What they're saying here is that the libertarians see him. Oh, a bunch of people going to a kid's party. They see him and they see he is a thief and their eyes are wide open. Is a feeling like the sun is out. Their eyes are wide open. We know precisely what you did. You're a thief. You tried to steal. Okay, so this is not a crowd that's I got the information I needed about where you're at. Okay, gotta go. It was more like an opportunity for me as Trump to, what's your story out here? I usually speak to Republicans. Like, what's the vibe here? Okay, I got the vibe. They hate me. Okay. That took 20, 30 minutes to figure out. Yeah, he's not going to get anywhere because of his, they see him as a criminal. But it's also good for us to see in the sense that it lets us know that he doesn't stand a chance with libertarians. Sam Aido, yes, corruption in the Supreme Court, and also he has come out openly in being MAGA, so he can't be, he can't be honest, right? He can't be without prejudice. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Hair in my eye. I thought I was going to wake up coughing because my cat had so much hair. She's been shedding. And I thought, oh, well, I'm going to do the show today and I'm going to be coughing up a storm. I'm just going to have to tell people my apologies. And I didn't have a cough today. I don't know. Sometimes I never know it's only if I get something in my throat. Like I can feel that itchy thing in my throat, but I don't feel it this morning. Yeah, so poor Sammy, he was when Biden got inaugurated, he had the flag upside down. Oh, I had nothing to do with it. My wife did that. You didn't see what your wife did? God, what the hell's wrong with you? He's being very defensive. He's not asking any questions. There's a feeling that he cannot be trusted with basic information because, look at this, 4 of Pentacles to hoard. So he's hiding information. His opposition also hoarding 9 of Pentacles. So there's this feeling of this guy is trouble, hopes and fears, heart attack or heartbreak. And then 4 of Wands, a new beginning is coming for, how do you say his name? Alito? There's an investigation into him which will prove problematic for him and the powers with his opposition. The clarification on the Blitz, 7 of Wands, which is to defend himself, increasingly defending himself. And here the opposition is getting information that they're not sharing, but also magician. The hope and fears fighting conflict. This is his stress as the clarification over the heart. And then 2 of Swords, he's simply not going to cooperate. So there's increasing evidence, but this type of power by the Supreme Court is extremely dangerous, and it's something that has to be addressed sooner rather than later. We can't be at the mercy of the court that's been compromised like this. Yeah, Trump did look very surprised, but he also was smart enough to see it as information. Now, a lot of people are concerned about Nikki Haley, but as I said, she's positioning herself to be runner-up. In the event that Miss America cannot complete her duties, the runner-up will take the position. So people must have talked to Trump about the writing on the wall of making Nikki Haley his VP. You'll win if you've got Nikki Haley as your VP. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, what's really going on is that it's going to be Nikki Haley. So when people talk about Nikki Haley bowing to him, that's not what she's doing. She's saying, pick me as the VP. So when you go to prison, I'll be the person and I can take this home for the GOP. I can take Nevada. I can take Arizona. I can take Florida. I can take Indiana. I might even be able to take Michigan. And at that point, she's won the presidency. I think she can take Nevada, and I think she can take Arizona. And Florida. And Colorado. We're looking at a problem. We're looking at a problem. What you see in the news and what's really going on. That's the other thing I've learned as a remote viewer. What you see in the news and what's really going on is often totally different. Well, actually his last VP pick that shot and killed her dog. I mean, he knows he has to pick a female. Yeah. Haley is very dangerous. What was the concern? That a crazy fascist like Trump would create the infrastructure and then a polite fascist would come in and finish off the job. And so people are worried about the Hollies and they're worried about the Nikki Haleys because she agreed with him 90-something% of the time. So she is Trump. So Joel Tilson says that they've got Alito and Thomas have angry man syndrome. I don't know what that is. I know that Thomas sees himself as a victim, All right, let's see how the Scotus hearing is going to happen next week. Let's use the Lenormand. They're always nice. Did you guys have a good brunch? I forgot to put a charity up. I apologize. If you enjoyed this session with me, this brunch get together, we get together every Sunday. Anyone can enjoy brunch. Right now, 260 people are having brunch together. Be sure and tell us where you're coming from, what you're eating and drinking at your brunch table so that we can all feel included. I'm having some beautiful coffee, courtesy of Villa Verde. She sent me a pound. Wow, a lot of money, $50 a pound, Jamaican gold. And I'm enjoying it. Some people think she's a female Trump. The Senate Scotus hearing. Oh, hi, Tariana. Good to see you. They will possibly rule in Trump's favor. They're feeling the guy. They feel like he's gotten a rough deal. Thomas, yeah, they did the same thing to me, those liberals. Wedding ring, engagement ring, creating a bridge, communication and commerce, marriage. Let's see the clarification. They feel like it's not fair because of the amount of time before the elections. I can't believe that we're in this type of crazy. Look at this, the clock. Well, if we ruled against him, then that would harm his election chances. Opposition, the bridge, the mask, which is the actor's card. So things are not as they appear. Looking at the book, which is the Constitution, and then there is a mountain of problems. So they could be empathetic to Trump, but at the same time, there's a mountain of problems. They are going to have to really twist the rules in order to justify helping him. Yeah, you don't trust, no one should trust Liz Cheney. I mean, if everyone's crazy, it's just a matter of degree. Who's crazier? Debbie Brady says she just can't even stomach the idea of a female VP, which is understandable given the disgusting way he's spoken about women and treated women. So let's go ahead and look at Nikki Haley. Is anybody surprised that Nikki Haley is positioning herself to take the role if he winds up in jail? Could that be done if she's not his VP pick? No. So I think she knows precisely what she's doing. And I think that's precisely what's going on, is to convince this guy to pick her, make up some crazy story. Meanwhile, deep down, he knows what's going on. The old man knows he's going to pasture. You're going to pasture, old man. Tell it, make a story up that makes him feel better. Yeah, she'll be your VP pick and then you'll really win it. But meanwhile, back at the ranch, what they're really saying is, this guy is toast, man. He's so finished. Tell him what he wants to hear. Then, look, well, since you can't do it, the VP will just do it. You see how smart they are? All right, let's see if Nikki Haley wins the presidency. No, she doesn't. And I'll show you why. She gets the ring. I got the ring, honey. Do you got the ring? Because that's what I always think about when I see the engagement ring. Take a look at the ring, honey. Yeah, I got the ring. I know what I'm doing because I got the ring. What was the name of that book? The Rules for Dating, written by two ladies from Long Island. Were they from Long Island or Staten Island? Yeah. It was all about getting the ring. Her opposition is the anchor. So Biden is the anchor. So it's going to be nearly impossible to get him out of there. I mean, they can, from the Republican perspective, it's they know Joe. They know Joe. They've been working with Joe for 40 years. I mean, the opposition is the anchor. You can't oust Joe. Hopes and fears. There's Joe. Joe the anchor. Final outcome is tick-tock the clock. She's very competitive. She really wants this. No, she can't beat him, and she can't beat him in Pennsylvania. Look at this. She really wants it. But look, the destiny clock is with him like a fox. Also, Kabbalistic tree of life. You know, what it's interesting. You can see the level of hunger she has for the presidency in those cards, but I don't see her making it. I think from the GOP's perspective, when you look at those cards, they probably think the only chance in hell they have of winning the presidency is getting rid of Trump and putting her in there. And so they're doing everything and anything to get her in there. And it starts with having her be the VP pick. And that makes complete sense. It's going to be a much easier sell to the Republicans if she had the second most votes and she's the VP pick and we're running out of time. So it falls to her. That's going to sit better with Republicans if he goes to prison than just randomly selecting her. They'll vote on it, and they'll vote with her. They have to. They have no choice. She took the second most. What are they going to do? Randomly pick anybody? It won't work. All right, let's see who's going to flee the country first. All right, Donald Trump, are you... All right. I also want to say I'm behind in Wizios. So if you sent me a Wizio 5-minute question, I will have them out today. Sorry, I got behind on those. But the Wizio readings are getting out today. Just to let people know. All right. Trump fleeing the country. He was invited. But his health is quite poor and he will not be able to travel, they say. Yeah. He was given an invitation. You can see here, bouquet invitation for him. But the sarcophagus is there, which would indicate an inability to travel. It can be illness, meditation. Could be the legal situations that he's facing. Loyal friends. It could be, for example, that the sheik from Dubai said, come on, come we have a nice country. Why don't you come live here for... There is this kind of, we're loyal to you, an invitation from loyal friends. So yes, if he was asked, he could have been invited to live in Saudi, live in the kingdom. You know, who's happily married in the kingdom? There's a few people that got married, went to the kingdom and wound up happy. Some people like it, you know. Janet Jackson lives a pretty happy life. She converted to Islam and moved to, was it Dubai? So some expats have moved and done well for themselves. But his kids are here, his grandkids, his home is here. You can see here the bouquet and the loyal dogs worried about him. He's anchored here. House arrest, others coming to see him at the home. Put him on. They keep, every time I go into the remotes, house arrest, house arrest. Why can't you give them house arrest? The response I always get is that we can't control the security. Every wingnut is going to try and break him out. It's just too, what are they going to do? Corner off the entire New York, Eric Trump's home? If he goes to stay in a room with Eric Trump, which is one of the things that came up in the remotes, if grandpa's sick and has to be incarcerated, he can be handed over to Eric Trump to be taken care of, and then he's under house arrest with Eric Trump for the rest of his life. This was something that was on the table. The only problem with that is that how do you secure the block? It's a problem. And so the other option that they talked about was to have him be on a military base. So he could be incarcerated in a military base. This is just me as a remote viewer when I put myself in the shoes of everybody that has to decide Donald Trump's fate. These are the conversations that are happening in the room. If we put him in a military base, and this is the main argument, then people are not going to break into a military base to try and free number 45. We can have a facility available for him on a military base. Even if he is only prisoner number 1, it's going to be a much easier security control than if we have to corner off, 67th and Broadway or wherever the hell his kid lives. It would be a logistical nightmare. Well, what are you going to do? Have a helicopter flying around on top of your house 24 hours a day? It's not feasible. And so they looked at everything. They looked at the traffic. They looked at the security. The most practical play, they can't have them with the general population either. It very much, I think this is something that Joel mentioned, it very much reminded me of the trials after World War II, when they had trials for the Nazis. And what do you do with these people? You can't have them in with the general population. And so there were abandoned prisons in Switzerland or Sweden or wherever, and they 1 or 2 prisoners, and it was just these aging Nazis. And they had to do that so that, number one, they would not encourage any Nazis in the prison system with them. They were frightened that they would organize around him. And so in the end, they wound up by themselves. Nuremberg trials. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be where this is headed. So Joel is talking about he committed the crime, you could argue, while being the head of the U.S. military. This is another way of looking at it. So the head of the U.S. military is the president of the United States. So you could theoretically say, well, great. Spandau military prison for the Nazis. Thank you, sweetie. I knew you'd remember that. So that is when you are a fly on the wall. I think that's what people really want from a remote viewer is be my fly on the wall whimsy. Sure. Okay, I can do that for you. So as the fly on the wall, sitting in on the conversations when they don't know you're there, this is the problem they have, and they've been having with this guy. Where the hell do we put him? Let's take a look. Isn't this fun? Don't you just love remote viewing? I can't believe how fun my job is. It's not always fun. Like, I don't like seeing assassinations. And, I don't like seeing that. Assassination plots. And then I have to worry about the person who's going to be doing the assassinating. Well, also, it's bad to assassinate. But the person that helped assassinate Ebrahim Raisi was doing it because he wanted to normalize relationships with Israel, and he felt that, Yeah, crazy stuff. So Leavenworth, he's being transported He will be transported. There's communication, hopes and fears. He was convicted of theft. Deep well could be extreme isolation. Going into the deep well. That's a very isolating card. I just don't think it does anything to fix the world. It doesn't do anything to fix the world. If the guy is mentally ill, a better thing to do would be early detection of these types of personality disorders. You put him in a military prison for kids, and then what? He dies in a military prison, exactly like when he was a kid? That's where he's headed. He's headed back to the very situation that he was placed in as a teenager, acting out because his mom got sick and he didn't have the mental wherewithal to handle it. So instead of getting the therapy and the mommy he needs and all that other stuff he needed, he just wound up neurotic, and now we want to punish the crazy guy for being crazy. Just none of this. I'm not into vengeance. I'm into finding out ways so that we don't produce the psychopaths of tomorrow. His health could be a determining factor of where they put him. The judge has no tolerance for him. They're going to go by, oh, Janet got a divorce and came back. I don't know. All I know is that supposedly she's happy with her world, you know. A lot of people love Dubai. A lot of people don't. I think if you, Dubai is one of those places where you either like it or you don't. Going by the book, his opposition is going by the book. That tells me he's in pretty serious trouble. And you can see here the sarcophagus over him. That can be illness, death, not going anywhere. So if he cannot be moved, it could be that if he has serious illness and then he winds up in a hospital. So it determines his home. You can see here again, the thief's home, determining the thief's home, and the final outcome for him, the deep well. He will be deeply isolated, and his health will determine where he is incarcerated based on these cards. Wow. Okay, we've been going for over an hour, so I think I'm gonna. Yeah, she's happy. I'm not anti-Islam, because I've studied the Sufis, and what people are freaked out about is this crazy Nazi death cult. But some Islam is really beautiful, like the Sufi chants and the mantras of God and the romantic love affair where one is being romanced by the divine and singing song. These are love sonnets to God, and let yourself be the bride of the groom. I mean, that's Sufi. Sufi is a waltz. It's a dance. It's the romantic love of you with the divine. It's just an unbelievably romantic vision. I betroth myself to you, O Lord my God. I betroth myself to you in loving kindness. I'm the Sufi. You are my husband. I am your bride, and we will dance the dance of love. That's Sufi. It's like, damn, I like this. Be my bridegroom and open every door. Let me experience what it is to have divine love, so that when I find my soulmate, I'll be comparing you to, hey, you're not treating me the way that God treats me, right? Similar to, there's a huge connection I find between mystical Catholicism, Jesus as the groom, and the bride is the nun, and she's having this relationship with her husband. That is very similar to Sufi. It's awesome. Yeah. Just because there are crazy people running around claiming that they're being Muslim doesn't mean there's some really cool Muslims out there with really cool. It's good stuff. I don't know. There are cults out there, just like there are crazy Christian cults. Look at David Koresh and what he did. And that people blame the police when the kids died. Same thing is happening with Gaza. It's like there are crazy people out there, and he thought he was the Messiah, right? So gives other people a bad name. That's unfortunate. Yeah, I do want to go to Dubai, because if you go to Dubai, it's like the Chicago of the Middle East. And so if you go there, you can hop on and you can go to other places and visit other places. I'd like to see Saudi Arabia now that it's open. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. Yeah, there's some amazing places just to see the history. In Europe, when we think about something as being ancient history, it's like the 11th, 12th century, right? Yeah. But when you go to play, like I would love to go to Iran. Um, but when you go to some of these places, like in Saudi, you're talking about things that were built in the 7th, 8th century. It's amazing, the history. Wouldn't you guys like to go? Or what about Egypt? Hmm? There's some ancient history that's thousands and thousands and thousands of years old. Yeah. Travel is great. Though the older I get, I don't travel as much now. I do it all on YouTube. And I'm so empathetic. I really can smell the air and I can taste the bread. And I find YouTube is a great way of traveling without leaving my home. It's a great stay vacation. You just surround yourself with everything you want to know about that country. Watch YouTube videos. It's free, and you don't have to leave your home. That's me at 61. All right, my loves. So good to hang out with you. If you're trying to get in with a reading with me, the information is below. If you need to get a 5-minute Awizio, I can usually get those back to you within a week. I'm getting those out now. And that information is also below. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. We'll see you next time. Thanks everyone for hanging with me. Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye. Peace out.